Most people think their choices begin in the mind, but neuroscience shows something shocking. Your nervous system fires before thought, which means that what you feel in your body, safety or stress, coherence or chaos, is already shaping the reality you collapse before you ever set an intention. Imagine the man refreshing his bank account every few minutes. His nervous system is in survival, broadcasting scarcity long before his mind says abundance. Or the woman who whispers affirmations with clenched teeth. Her body is signaling tension, not trust. This is the paradox. You don't create from what you want. You create from what your body has already decided is true, and that decision happens in milliseconds beneath your awareness. The real manifestation work begins not in thought, but in regulation, shifting the signal you broadcast without words. When quantum physicists speak of the observer effect, they describe how a particle remains in probability until measured. The act of observation collapses possibility into actuality. But here's what's often lost in translation. Observation isn't just looking with your eyes. It's coherence in your entire system: brain, heart, nervous system, subconscious. You don't manifest from thought alone. You manifest from the embodied state of the one who already has. And this is where science and spirituality stop being rivals and start being mirrors. Your biology is not blocking manifestation. It is the broadcast. Take the nervous system. Every signal that travels down your spine carries information about whether you are safe or threatened, open or closed, expansive or contracted. That signal dictates hormone release, brainwave rhythms, even the electromagnetic field of your heart. When you're anxious and grasping, your system is incoherent. Your signal to the quantum field is scrambled. But when your body enters regulation, when your breath slows, your heart synchronizes with your brainwaves, your muscles release, you move into coherence. This coherence is measurable in labs. It's not philosophy, it's data. And it's coherence that collapses probability into matter, not stress, not control. Think of it like a theater stage. Possibility is the unlit set, infinite backdrops waiting behind the curtain. Your state of coherence is the spotlight that selects which scene becomes visible. Without coherence, the stage stays in shadow. Everything remains out there as potential. With coherence, the curtain parts and the exact scene that matches your frequency steps forward into visibility. The audience, your conscious life, watches what your nervous system has chosen to spotlight. The script you repeat in your head matters less than the spotlight of your state. And this explains why people who obsessively think about money often experience lack, while someone in a relaxed, embodied state receives opportunities out of nowhere. It isn't out of nowhere. It's out of the spotlight they've created. Let's ground this in an everyday moment. Picture someone stuck in traffic, hands gripping the wheel, muttering about how late they'll be, cortisol flooding their system. That person's biology is broadcasting incoherence, contraction, scarcity, fear. Now imagine someone in the same traffic, but instead of rehearsing stress, they soften their jaw, breathe into their belly, feel their chest open. Their biology is broadcasting coherence, safety, expansion, possibility. Both are sitting in the same traffic, but they're not living in the same timeline. The first is amplifying chaos, the second is collapsing probability into pathways of ease. That is physics, that is spirituality, and they are not separate. If this is clicking for you, drop one word in the comments, the frequency you choose to embody this week. Safety, abundance, love, clarity. Whatever it is, declare it, because the word you choose is less important than the state you allow your body to enter while you say it. That state is your true signal. Here's the real breakthrough. Identity is not just a concept you think about. It's a neurological pattern your brain wires and rewires through repetition and experience. Neuroplasticity means every time you embody a state, your brain builds that identity as reality. If you practice coherence as the person who already has, your neurons wire together in that pattern. Your subconscious then perceives, selects, and collapses external reality in alignment with that pattern, not by chasing, by becoming. And this is why the hidden link between physics and spiritual manifestation is not mystical fluff. It is measurable. Your heart field can be detected several feet beyond your body. Your brain waves in train with others around you. Your biology is literally collapsing probability fields into experiences that match, which means manifestation is not about thinking harder, but regulating deeper. Not about obsessing over the goal, but embodying the coherence of the one who already lives it. The universe doesn't respond to desperate signals. It responds to coherent states. And that is where science proves what spirituality has always whispered. Most people misunderstand coherence because they confuse it with control. They think, if I can just keep my thoughts positive, the universe will reward me. But physics shows us something different. In the double-slit experiment, the particle didn't collapse into form because a scientist forced it into place. It collapsed simply because there was consistent observation, a stable measuring frame, a coherent presence. Control is tension. Coherence is alignment. Control fights the wave. Coherence allows the wave to settle into shape. That subtle difference is the reason so many manifestation practices leave people exhausted and doubting themselves. They're trying to force a collapse with tension, when collapse only occurs through coherence. Think of a musician tuning a guitar. If one string is too tight, it snaps. If it's too loose, it buzzes incoherently. Only when the string is tuned into perfect vibration with the others does the instrument resonate. Your nervous system works the same way. If you tighten your thoughts with obsession, you snap into incoherence. If you loosen into apathy, you buzz with dissonance. But when your breath, emotions, thoughts, and body are tuned together, you resonate. That resonance is coherence, and coherence is the true signal that reality responds to. Now imagine this. A woman scrolling social media late at night, comparing herself to others. Every picture she sees reinforces the signal of, I'm behind, I'm lacking, I'm not enough. Her nervous system contracts, her biology shifts into survival mode. Without realizing it, she is broadcasting lack into the field, not because she's a bad person, not because she isn't working hard enough, simply because her system is incoherent. Meanwhile, someone else may close their laptop, breathe deeply, let their body sink into stillness and feel gratitude for the smallest detail, the softness of their blanket, the steady rhythm of their breath. Their nervous system opens, their biology signals coherence. They broadcast abundance without even thinking about abundance. Both people are on their phones in the same city, under the same sky. Yet one collapses a reality of lack, while the other collapses a reality of ease. This is the crux. Manifestation isn't about what you think you want. It's about what your body has rehearsed as safe. If your subconscious has coded stress as normal, you'll unconsciously gravitate toward timelines that match that stress. If you retrain your nervous system to experience expansion as safe, then abundance, love, and opportunity naturally collapse into form. The observer effect is not limited to lab experiments. Your nervous system is the laboratory. Every day, every moment, you are measuring reality through the state of your body. So let's dismantle one of the biggest misconceptions. Manifestation isn't about future chasing. It's about present embodiment. When you embody safety now, opportunities align. When you embody love now, relationships shift. When you embody abundance now, resources appear. This isn't magic. This is how your brain filters sensory input. Coherence shifts what your subconscious even notices. It literally changes the data your brain allows into awareness, which means your state isn't just energetic, it's neurological. And here's the paradox. The less you try to control, the more coherent you become. Control is contraction. Coherence is expansion. Control resists what is. Coherence accepts and aligns. That's why people who surrender often manifest faster, not because they've stopped caring, but because surrender relaxes the nervous system into coherence. The universe doesn't reward trying harder. It responds to signals that are steady, clear, and embodied. This is where physics meets biology, and biology meets spirituality. A wave collapses through observation, but your observation isn't mental staring, it's embodied coherence. And the more you embody that coherence, the more your neurons wire an identity that matches. Over time, reality simply mirrors what your biology has already become. Here's where it gets even more profound. Coherence doesn't just influence your personal experience, it ripples into the collective field. Your heart generates the strongest electromagnetic signal in your body, measurable several feet beyond your skin. When your heart is incoherent, erratic, stressed, closed, it sends chaotic patterns that disrupt both your internal system and the subtle interactions with those around you. But when your heart is coherent, rhythmic, open, aligned with your breath and mind, it synchronizes not only your biology, but also the field you occupy. This is why someone calm can enter a chaotic room and instantly shift the atmosphere without saying a word. It isn't mystical charisma, it's measurable physiology. Imagine being in line at a busy coffee shop. One person is tapping their foot, sighing, radiating impatience. Another stands quietly, relaxed shoulders, a gentle half smile. You can feel the difference even if you never make eye contact. That sensation isn't in your imagination. Your nervous system is reading the signals of coherence versus incoherence. Now amplify that out into the quantum field. Your broadcast is shaping probabilities, drawing into alignment the timelines that resonate with your signal. The impatient one collapses into more friction, a barista who rushes, a spilled drink, a day that spirals. The calm one collapses into smoother probabilities, a kind gesture, a synchronistic encounter, a flow of ease. Both stood in the same line, but their coherence, or lack of it, determined the script that unfolded. And this is the part that traditional manifestation teachings often skip. They tell you to visualize harder, repeat affirmations, hold the picture in your mind. But if the body is locked in incoherence, the picture is irrelevant. The brain may imagine abundance, but if the heart is broadcasting stress, the signal is scrambled. The universe doesn't read your affirmations, it reads your coherence, which means the true practice is not mental repetition, but embodied alignment. Think of an athlete. A runner doesn't manifest a perfect race by chanting "I am fast" while tense and panicked. They collapse the probability of success by rehearsing their body into flow. Their breath, stride, focus, and nervous system synchronize. Coherence allows performance to emerge. The same applies to life. You don't manifest by thinking your way there. You manifest by embodying the flow state that collapses it into being. This is where identity comes in. Your subconscious identity is not a set of words. It's a set of embodied patterns. If you've always identified as the one who struggles, your nervous system has encoded that pattern as home. You may try to think abundance, but your biology returns to struggle because that's what feels familiar. To shift reality, you don't just think new thoughts. You embody new safety. You allow your system to learn that expansion is safe, that love is safe, that abundance is safe. Once your biology accepts it, your reality mirrors it. Consider this micro scenario, a man rehearsing an argument in his head before a meeting. He tenses, his jaw locks, his stomach tightens. He hasn't spoken a word, yet his body is broadcasting conflict. When he enters the meeting, he unconsciously collapses into that probability. Others feel defensive, the discussion escalates. Now imagine if instead he rehearsed coherence, relaxing his breath, visualizing safety, softening his tone before even walking in. His biology broadcasts ease, and the meeting unfolds differently. The shift wasn't in the words he prepared. It was in the coherence he embodied. So when we talk about manifestation, we're not talking about magic tricks. We're talking about the science of coherence, how your nervous system collapses waves of probability into the stage play you call your life, not by forcing, not by obsessing, but by embodying coherence until the field has no choice but to align. If you're starting to feel the resonance of this, pause for a moment, put a hand on your chest, breathe deeply, and notice what coherence feels like. That simple act is more powerful than repeating 100 affirmations. Because coherence is the language reality understands. There's a reason why people who stop chasing suddenly receive what they once begged for. It isn't that the universe was withholding until they proved themselves worthy. It's that their nervous system shifted from contraction to coherence. Think of someone who spent months refreshing job listings every hour, desperate for change, yet receiving silence. Then one day they pause, go for a walk, breathe, laugh with a friend, and in that softened state, a call arrives, an offer appears. From the outside, it looks like luck. From the inside, it was coherence finally collapsing probability into form. Science explains this through selective attention. Your brain processes over 11 million bits of information every second, but you consciously register only about 40. What determines which 40 you perceive? Not your desires, not your affirmations, your nervous system. If your body is broadcasting fear, your subconscious filters for threat and lack. If your body is coherent, it filters for safety and possibility. This means opportunities are often right in front of you, invisible, until your coherence allows your brain to perceive them. The offer was always there. You simply couldn't see it until your biology stopped resisting. Here's a different angle. Think about astronomers pointing telescopes into space. The universe is filled with infinite signals, but the telescope only receives what it's calibrated to detect. Your body is the telescope. Coherence is calibration. Without it, the signals of abundance, love, creativity remain undetected. With it, the same universe reveals a completely different reality. It isn't that life suddenly provides more, it's that coherence tunes you into what was already waiting. Let's make this more tangible with a daily scenario. Picture someone standing in front of the mirror before a date. They whisper affirmations. I am attractive, I am confident. Yet their shoulders hunch, their breath is shallow, their body tight. Their biology is incoherent, broadcasting insecurity despite their words. They walk into the date and collapse a probability where awkwardness and doubt play out. Now, imagine someone else who takes that same moment to regulate. 3 slow breaths, shoulders back, heart softened, body aligned. They may say nothing at all, but their biology broadcasts coherence. On the date, probability collapses into connection, ease, and flow. The difference wasn't in affirmations, it was in coherence. And this is why manifestation can feel like a cruel joke when misunderstood. People think, I'm visualizing, I'm affirming. Why isn't it working? They believe they've failed or that life is punishing them. But the truth is simpler and more empowering. Your biology was broadcasting incoherence, and incoherence cannot collapse the reality you were reaching for. The good news is that coherence is always available, in every breath, in every moment. Even trauma, which often locks the nervous system into survival loops, doesn't make coherence impossible. Neuroplasticity means your brain and body can rewire through consistent practice. Each time you choose to breathe deeply instead of spiraling, each time you soften instead of tighten, you're teaching your system a new baseline. Over time, coherence becomes familiar, safe, natural. And when coherence becomes your baseline, manifestation stops being effortful. It becomes inevitable. Here's the paradox distilled. The harder you try to get there, the more you resist. But the more you allow coherence here and now, the faster there collapses into reality. Not by chasing, by becoming. If this resonates, take a second and ask yourself, what is one area of life where you've been chasing? And how would it feel if, instead of chasing, you embodied coherence now? That single shift may be the point where physics and spirituality finally converge in your lived experience. One of the most overlooked aspects of this is how identity stabilizes coherence. Because coherence isn't just a fleeting state. It's a pattern your brain and body return to over and over. If you think of identity as the default lens through which your nervous system reads reality, then every moment of coherence is like rewriting that lens. Neuroplasticity is the mechanism that makes this possible. Each time neurons fire together, they wire together, which means that every time you embody the state of the one who already has, you're carving a new neural pathway that eventually becomes your default identity. This explains why quick bursts of positivity rarely change reality. They're sparks, not rewiring. Imagine someone who wakes up one morning and declares, "Today I am abundant." Their mind is lit for a moment, but within an hour, their body reverts to old stress loops. That single spark doesn't collapse reality because it isn't coherence, it's a flash of effort. Now imagine someone who, every morning, slows their breath, regulates their nervous system, and embodies abundance in their posture, their tone, their choices. That repetition wires coherence into identity. Over time, they don't just practice abundance, they become it. And when identity is coherent, reality has no choice but to match. Think of a theater actor. At first, they memorize lines, imitate gestures, try to play the part. It feels forced, unnatural. But after weeks of rehearsal, the role becomes embodied. They stop acting and become the character. Their movements flow without thought. Their tone rings with truth. In that moment, the audience no longer sees a performance. They see a living reality. Manifestation is the same. At first, you rehearse coherence. You practice breathing, softening, aligning. But with repetition, you stop rehearsing and start becoming. And once you become, the world no longer questions and it simply reflects. Everyday life gives us endless stages to rehearse coherence. Picture someone waiting for exam results. One path, they obsessively refresh their email, heart racing, palms sweating, broadcasting contraction into the field. Another path, they pause, regulate, remind their body that safety exists now, regardless of the result. Their biology opens, coherence emerges, and that state itself attracts different outcomes, not only in the exam, but in the opportunities that follow. The difference isn't in external circumstances. It's in the identity rehearsed in that waiting moment. And here's what's beautiful. Coherence doesn't demand perfection. It asks for repetition. Every time you return to it, no matter how many times you've left, you're strengthening the identity of coherence. It's like building muscle. One workout won't transform your body, but consistent repetition rewires what's possible. Manifestation isn't about a single grand leap. It's about 1,000 micro-returns to coherence until your biology recognizes it as home. This also explains why surrender is so powerful. When you surrender, you're not giving up. You're releasing the incoherent identity of the one who must control. In its place, you allow the coherent identity of the one who already is. That shift rewires the nervous system faster than force ever could. The paradox, surrender feels like letting go of power, but in physics, it's the exact opposite. It's the alignment that allows probability to collapse into form. So if you've been chasing, rehearsing, controlling, pause. Ask yourself, what identity have I been broadcasting? And what identity would coherence rewire in me if I allowed it? The answer isn't out there. It's in the spotlight of coherence you choose to embody now. Now let's stretch this deeper, into the realm of physics itself. Quantum mechanics teaches us that particles do not have fixed positions until they are observed. They exist as a field of probability, a wave of potential. This isn't metaphor, this is tested, documented science. But here's the hidden piece. Your nervous system is the observer. Every regulated breath, every coherent heartbeat, every embodied state acts like a measuring device that collapses probabilities into one lived reality. You aren't just attracting experiences. You're physically selecting them from an infinite field of options by how your biology observes. Most people assume observation means sight, like a scientist staring through a microscope. But observation in quantum mechanics means interaction. The system being measured affects the outcome. Your body is always interacting with reality. Your stress, your calm, your coherence, all of it collapses waves into form, which means every incoherent state creates noisy collapses, scattered outcomes, timelines filled with friction. Every coherent state creates clean collapses, outcomes aligned with safety, love, and expansion. You are not a passive witness to reality. You are the measuring device that determines what reality becomes. Let's bring this down to earth with a simple image. Imagine a camera lens. If the lens is shaky and unfocused, the picture blurs. If the lens is stable and aligned, the picture crystallizes. Your nervous system is the lens. When you're incoherent, anxious, rushing, controlling, the picture of your life comes out blurred, distorted. When you're coherent, steady breath, open heart, regulated system, the picture sharpens. Reality crystallizes, not by magic, by physics. Consider another everyday scenario. A young man preparing for a presentation. He spends the night overthinking, scrolling notes, tightening his body, convinced he must not fail. The next day, his nervous system broadcasts chaos. and he collapses into a reality where technology glitches, words stumble, the audience feels uneasy. Now imagine the same man taking time to regulate, moving his body, breathing deeply, practicing coherence before the event. The next day, his biology broadcasts alignment. He collapses into a reality where the flow feels natural, synchronicities occur, the audience responds warmly. Same man, same slides, different coherence, different outcome. And here lies one of the most liberating truths. You don't need to force outcomes. When you understand your role as observer, you don't need to micromanage the field. Your only responsibility is coherence. The field does the rest. Think of it like a constellation. Billions of stars exist, but only certain patterns crystallize into the constellations we recognize because we observe them that way. Your life is a constellation of probabilities. Coherence is the pattern that determines which stars form your lived experience. This means the practice of manifestation isn't external at all. It's internal calibration. When your nervous system is incoherent, the wave remains unstable, probabilities scatter. When you shift into coherence, the wave collapses cleanly into form, which explains why sometimes, the moment you stop pushing, things suddenly align. It isn't sudden. It's coherence finally doing what incoherence could not. And remember, coherence is contagious. Your electromagnetic field entrains with those around you. Just as one tuning fork can cause another nearby to vibrate, your coherence can regulate others without a word. This is why leaders who embody calm shift entire rooms. Why healers change people without needing explanations. Why certain friends make you feel safe instantly. It's physics, not charisma. Their coherence entrains yours. So the question becomes, what field are you broadcasting into the probabilities around you? Are you scattering or are you collapsing? Are you a shaky lens or a clear one? Because reality doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. Here's where philosophy intertwines with the science. If coherence is the signal and identity is the stabilizer, then who you believe yourself to be is not just psychological, it is quantum. Every self-concept is a filter through which the wave collapses. You don't experience reality directly. You experience the version of reality your identity allows you to see. This is why two people can walk down the same street and live completely different worlds. One notices tension, judgment, scarcity. The other sees kindness, opportunities, synchronicity. Same street, different collapse. Identity decided the lens. Think of it as living in parallel theaters. Each stage exists, each play is already rehearsed, but your identity is the ticket you hand at the door. If you carry the identity of "I am overlooked," you will collapse into the theater where you are ignored. If you carry the identity of "I am magnetic," you collapse into the theater where doors open, eyes notice, opportunities align. The stages are all there. The only question is, which ticket are you presenting with your biology? Let's ground this in a relatable scenario. Imagine two students receiving the same grade back on a test. One interprets it as failure. Their nervous system contracts. They spiral into self-doubt, collapse into timelines of giving up. Another interprets it as feedback. Their nervous system remains open. They regulate, they collapse into timelines of growth and opportunity. Same grade, different identity, different coherence, different collapse. This is why affirmations spoken from incoherence rarely work. Saying "I am successful" while your body tightens with fear is like trying to convince a tuning fork to vibrate at a frequency it isn't resonating with. The words are irrelevant if the biology isn't aligned. But when you shift identity through coherence, the affirmation becomes unnecessary. You don't say "I am successful," you breathe, regulate, embody, and success collapses naturally because the identity is no longer questioned. And here's the deeper layer. Identity isn't fixed. Neuroplasticity ensures your brain can rewire, your body can relearn, your subconscious can update. This means you are never trapped in one theater. You can exchange the ticket. You can rewire the baseline. The way you do this isn't through force, but through repetition of coherence. Each time you choose coherence over contraction, you strengthen the identity of the one who already lives what you seek. Over weeks, months, years, that becomes your default, and reality mirrors it. Take another micro scenario, someone replaying a breakup over and over in their head. Each replay tightens their chest, contracts their breath, reinforces the identity of rejection. They collapse into timelines where love feels distant, unavailable. Now imagine the same person pausing the loop, regulating, allowing coherence to emerge. In that state, they begin to embody the identity of someone safe to love and safe to be loved. From that identity, probabilities shift, new connections appear. Opportunities for love collapse into their path. The breakup didn't curse them, their coherence retuned them. This is why manifestation is not about fixing the outside, it's about becoming the inside, not by pretending, not by forcing, but by embodying coherence until the identity that once resisted becomes the identity that allows. Not by control, by resonance, not by wanting, by being. If you've been resonating with this journey so far, let this sink in. Your biology is not betraying you. It's simply broadcasting the identity it has rehearsed. And that means you hold the power to rehearse something new, not just in thought, but in every breath, every choice, every embodied state of coherence. So here's the culmination. Manifestation is not a mystical secret hidden in books or rituals. It is the natural consequence of coherence. Physics confirms it, neuroscience maps it, spirituality has sung it for centuries, and now you can live it. The observer effect is not abstract, it is you. Your nervous system, your breath, your heart field are the measuring devices that collapse waves of probability into the stage play you call life. Every incoherent state creates scattered scripts. Every coherent state crystallizes the one you long to experience. But notice what this means. You don't need to force manifestation, you don't need to chase it, and you don't need to beg life to give you what you want. Life is not withholding. It is waiting. Waiting for your biology to align with the frequency of what is already yours. Waiting for you to stop tightening the strings and finally let the instrument of your body resonate in tune. Waiting for you to stop rehearsing lack and begin rehearsing coherence until it becomes who you are. Think of it like walking through a garden at night. Without a flashlight, the flowers are invisible, though they're right in front of you. When you switch on the light, the garden appears. Not because it was created in that instant, but because coherence illuminated what was already there. Your coherent state is the flashlight. Reality blooms where you shine it. And so the paradox resolves. Manifestation isn't about pulling a future toward you. It's about aligning your present until the future has no choice but to collapse here. Not by force, by frequency, not by chasing, by becoming, not by wishing, by embodying. Imagine waking up tomorrow, and instead of rehearsing the identity of the struggler, you regulate into the identity of the one who already lives in abundance. Instead of refreshing your phone, you regulate into the identity of the one who already receives with ease. Instead of replaying rejection, you regulate into the identity of the one who already is loved. Each of those micro-choices wires coherence, collapses new probabilities, and reshapes your timeline. You don't manifest by control. You manifest by coherence repeated until it becomes your baseline. And coherence is not an abstract state, you can feel it. Breath slowed, shoulders softened, heart rhythm steady, thoughts no longer racing but flowing. That feeling is not relaxation alone. It's alignment. It's the signal. It's the language reality understands. Every time you return to it, you sharpen the lens through which life crystallizes. So the hidden link between physics and spiritual manifestation is not hidden anymore. It's you. Your biology is the bridge. Your nervous system is the observer. Your coherence is the collapse, which means the experiment isn't happening in a laboratory. It's happening in every moment you live. If this has landed for you, if you feel the shift, then join me in this. Take one deep breath right now and anchor the frequency you choose to embody. That choice is the first collapse. And if you're ready to keep exploring how science and spirit meet, hit subscribe and join this community of coherence. Together, we are not just learning, we are becoming.